Assalamu alaikum. Lesson 2, meaning of the word Allah. There was something happened yesterday I want to remind you that I forgot. I spoke to you about a book called Ighathat al-Lahfan, and I said, you're being saved from Satan by like being wrapped up in a sheet. Then I thought, no, it doesn't mean sheet. I'm trying to point out to you Lahfan. The word for a comforter or a quilt in Arabic is lahaf. So just so you don't think that this is not consequential, it is, because I left you hanging and I said, I'm going to tell you about this lahfan, and then I got cut off. So now I'm telling you. The book's name is Ighatha, rescue. A lahfan, those who are wrapped up. How? From Satan. Min masyada al-shaitan. It means from the nets or the traps of Satan. So just remember, lahaf in Arabic means a comforter or a quilt. Now, I don't want you to write that down because that's not a commonly used word, but I just wanted to straighten it out for you so you could see how Arabic works. Arabic is a very amazing language. Now, we said before that Allah could come from walaha or it could come from ilaha. Now, we're going to go on more with this grammar in the middle of this lesson. But remember, it's a discussion between ulama, and you don't really need it. Does it come from walaha? Is it a derivative? Or is it a jamid, meaning it has no derivative? So I'm just putting this out for you so you can get a small hint or a taste of how important it is, this word. Now, in America, you won't really feel it because everyone says God, and I don't know what's going on with the Muslims, but they're starting to say God too, even at the minbar, on the khutbah. Oh, it's so depressing for me, and it will be for you too when you learn more about what Allah really means. Allah is the one you turn to when times get tough. By tough, we say shidda. So you can write the word shidda, sheen, del, tarmabuta, but you could just put the essential sheen, da, shadda. You turn to the only one who could ever possibly help you, and that is Allah, because no one's like Allah. Now, there's another, when we say aliha al-makan, aliha, the same letters, alif, lam, ha, that's in Allah, but we're talking about a place, a makan, where you feel safe. Aqama bi, you don't want to leave this place. La yastaghna anhu. So these are sentences that are having meanings because la yastaghna anhu means you will never be able to live without it, you think. Well, when it's Allah, it's real. But did you ever think you'd be so attached to a place that you would never want to leave? You'd just be so comfortable there. Nowhere else would suit you. Well, that's like you in your relationship with Allah. You won't feel right, ever, anywhere else. So now let's get the pencil, the pen, and the paper and write these few words. There's only 3. But when you see how your vocabulary is building, it's building with the intention in mind that all these words you're going to know and use when you talk about Allah, which you will. Oh, within a few months' time, you'll be able to do this. You know, this is my new curriculum that I'm trying to make for the non-native speakers of Arabic, because the curriculum that, let's say the curricula is not to my liking, because it's all about, let's learn the months and the days of the week in Arabic, and let's talk about the moon and the phases of the moon and the Hajj, and it is what it is. It is what it is. But it's not Asma Allah al-Husna, that's for sure. So my new curriculum will be involved with learning about Allah and his names and characteristics. And it's huge. As you know, there are 99 names of Allah. But it's so interesting. and never boring. So let's get back with dictation. Write the word لا يستغنى عنه. لا لام ألف يستغنى يا سين تا غ نون يا. عنه means in relation to Allah. لا, no way would you be able to, عنه, يستغنى. يستغنى, and I want you to write under that, غنى. I want you to write غ, nun. Should we write غنية? No, غنى is enough. غنية means rich. غنى means rich, or riches. So how does that connect with يستغنى عنه? Because when you say, it's in the Quran, that a bad person is استغنى عن Allah, it means he thinks he doesn't need Allah. He thinks he's good enough. Why do I need Allah? أستغنى عنه. أنا غني. I, in my own self, am enough for my own self. That richness, meaning غنى. أنا غني عنه. I don't need him. أستغنى عنه. Well, you'll find out how wrong you are when you try to do that. Now, this next word I want to give you is makan. It means a place. So you're going to write mim, kaf, alif, nun. So now, if you are happy where you're living and you don't want to live anywhere else, no other makan is going to do anything for you. You won't feel right anywhere else. You don't want to go anywhere else. The word for this means, alihahu. You did this behavior with the same letters that are in the word Allah. So, you know the word Allah, alif, lam, lam, ha. When we're using this word, ilahahu, it means you have done this kind of behavior where you want to stay with Allah because this makan is suitable for you. And you won't leave. Now, this is only if you really know who Allah is. You see, if you keep saying God, or some other people will say the Son of God, or it just doesn't have the same impact as what Allah can do for you. La tuskun illa ma Allah. Now, I want you to underline, I have underlined in red here, sakana, sin, kaf, nun. Sakana has the meaning of a peaceful, quiet, satisfied state. It's called sakina in Arabic. Sakina. If you have sakina, you're not upset, you're very chilled, and you like it that way. That's how you're going to feel with Allah. So, the maskan is the place where you live. That meme that's placed in the beginning of sakan, this is a little grammar hint for you. The more you keep hearing what I'm going to explain, the more you're going to get it. It might seem weird in the beginning. Well, wait a minute, you'll say, is it sakan? Where'd that meme come from? Where'd that maskan? Huh? The meme there is a way of forming a place from the verb, sakan, and the adjective. But I don't like to use these English grammatical terms. I know I have to though, because I'm not teaching Arabic nahu to people that already know stuff. I'm teaching a very elementary form of Arabic in a way that I think is going to work. Just give me time, okay? Because yesterday you probably got 5, 6 new words. Today you're going to get the same thing. And then tomorrow we'll make a review. And you put your list ready, and I'll have my list ready by the end of this lesson. And we'll see if we all have the same words that I felt would be right for describing here what we're talking about. You will not feel safe or secure any other way. And in this, we say La ilaqa wa la mathil. You don't have to write this. Ilaqa means relation, and mathil means something that's equal. So there's nothing to compare to Allah. La ilaqa lahu wa la mathil. Nothing can equate to Allah. There's no relation like it that you could ever have. And that's why the ilaqa means relation, but I don't want you to write that. I'm only going to give you, as I said, 5 or 6 words. Hopefully it will be enough because you're still in a very beginning stage. So, to summarize the above, we say, Faz'a ila Allah 'inda shidda. Remember that word faza. You've got to run, you've got to race to Allah when times get tough. Shidda. Faza, because you're faza. Remember I told you faza, you're freaked out. So that's a little review of the above. Now you're either going to worship Allah or you're going to worship yourself. And this is called al-uluhiyya. Now, you might have heard about this with the manhaj, the curriculum from Saudi Arabia. It's called uluhiyya rububiyya wa isma wa sifat. Uluhiyya just means pertaining to Allah. Uluhiyya, it's like a noun meaning Allah stuff. And then we have rububiyya, which means pertaining to the Rabb. Now, you might say, but Rabbi Allah, it's the same thing, isn't it? No. Now it's going to get really beautiful. Allah pertains to the non-physical, pertains to your ruh, your soul, your spirit. The Rabb, which we will do after we finish Allah, pertains to the material, your body, your needs of your body. So when we say Allah is my Rabb, yes, it's true. But it's not pertaining to the sense of what it means. Yes, your Lord is your Rabb because he gives you everything you need physically, but not emotionally or spiritually. That's the uluhiyya. That's Allah's, you can say, job. Now, another word, ta'alluq. Ta'alluqa al-ilaha la yastaghna ghayru, as we just said. You merely hear his name, Allah, and you feel it, Allah, la ilaha illallah. There's no substitute for that feeling. That's why we say Allahu Akbar, right? And that's a very important thing that you should be proud to say. And don't be shy to say it out loud. Because if you're worried about people hearing you, they should be worried about not hearing it. And I just believe it's a great thing to say everywhere you go. Now, these are some of the things you should feel in regard to Allah. You should have mahabba, which means love, khudu'a, which means to be very humble, and dhul, feeling low in front of Allah, because he has ta'zeem. So when you're trying to communicate with Allah, or you're trying to feel his magnificence in your life, you have to make sure that you're doing it this way, that you love him and you fear him. Now, a lot of the Christians will say, what do you mean fear him? That's not nice. Who wants to fear the Creator? And, well, you should fear him. Oh, Jesus is love, though. Jesus is love. Yeah, Allah is love. But he also wants you to fear him. It's something that is required. You fear him, you love him, you depend on him, and you're humble. This khadua is a very important way to be also. So, getting back to the first point I made, these derivatives are very similar. The walaha and the aliha. And remember I said they argue about, does it come from walaha or does it come from aliha? It shouldn't bother you. I'm just telling you from the outset that if you ever find anything regarding the meaning of the word Allah, they're going to begin with this. They're going to begin with, well, no, because you don't understand Arabic, so you won't even hear this. But maybe now things are a little bit better where something in English could be telling you this, that does it come from walaha or does it come from alaha? It's not really a problem. You know, they're the same letters except for the hamza. So you can see walaha has waw, lam, ha. And then the aliha has the alif, or sometimes called hamza. But that's another issue. Can you say hamza? Can you say alif? That will be for another lesson. Because right now I want you to get focused on the effect of Allah in your life. Let's just say they're sharing the middle lam letters. Now, if you don't have Allah, you should have ishtad huzna. That strong feeling of sadness. Hatta dahaba. How? Until that feeling of having no Allah leaves you. Because it's not a good feeling at all to feel that you don't have Allah. Now, we're going to make something a little bit different right now. We're going to talk about a book, Hadayat al-Hayara, Guiding the One Who's Confused, Fi Ajwiba, in answering al-Yahud wa Nasara, and answering the Christians and the Jews. This was a very famous book, a very wonderful book, written by Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawzi, the student of Ibn Taymiyyah. And he was born in Syria, and he died at age 59. Now, interestingly enough, another book was written called Guide to the Perplexed by a Jewish rabbi called Moses Maimonides. And he lived in almost the same era, and he died at age 66 in Egypt. He had to flee to Egypt because he was being persecuted. A lot of people were saying, he's becoming Muslim. We don't want that. He's a Jew. He's an educated Jew. And he used to write comparative studies of rabbinical thought compared to Greek philosophical thought from Aristotle. And he felt there could be rational explanations with using your reason. So that's why a lot of the other rabbis didn't like him, and he was kicked out of Spain. And why am I telling you this? Well, because I love history, and I love reading Maimonides, because he, in the end, in Egypt, he was the chief physician to the caliph. And many say he turned Muslim. We can't be sure of these things. He's not alive to talk about it. But I would say any rabbi of that level who's really orthodox and really following all the Torah, number one, which was revealed by Allah. Yeah, I just wanted to put that in there so that you could see that great minds think alike. So this word hayara, I would like you to write that. Write hayyara. Okay? The ha, the one from hub, because sometimes you get confused. The ha, hayyara, ha, ya, alif, ra, ya. This word hayyara means you are just lost. You don't know which way you're turning. You can't even take a decision. You have no compass. You're not certain of anything. You're just hayran, which is like an adjectival form of hayyara, which is a noun. And I can't help but do this because it is important. And Arabic grammar set the basis for English grammar. That's why when I say it, it's like I'm saying like it's normal for me because I loved English grammar and I studied it a lot. And that's why when I was learning Arabic, which was much later after I learned to read and memorize Quran and did everything on my own, just struggling and making a lot of sujood and asking Allah to help me, finally, someone wanted me to study Arabic with them, and they gave me a crash course. Took about 5 lessons, and I got the crap. But I have all the books now. And do I really like Arabic grammar? Well, I'm amazed by it because it's so incredible, and I do study it. But it's a little bit boring compared to this stuff. Okay, now we know about the hayyara. You will be hayran, meaning the descriptive. You will feel this hayyara feeling when you're far from Allah because you're being destroyed and tortured. Like we mentioned earlier yesterday, the well without water, the mom who's lost her child. You're at a loss. You're losing your mind. So this walaha state for the mom or the child, both of them are in the walaha state because you've seen this, and I know if you've ever been around children, you know this. The minute the mom is out of sight of this baby, the baby starts screaming, and no one else can take the place of the mother. And you can hold the baby and say, oh, I love children, and you're bouncing the baby. I'll never forget one time I did that, and I put the baby, and the baby threw up right in my face. I'll never forget that day. Little baby, like 3 months old. But this state of the child without its mother is horrendous. They all scream. It doesn't matter who else is there. They want the mother. So now think about what's happening in America right now when mothers and children are getting separated. This is disgraceful. And I have to mention it because this is barbaric. You're afraid of the invasion of the barbarians? You should be afraid of what you're doing with mothers and children. You should be very afraid of this because this is serious. And there's a verse in Quran and also Hadith where Allah says, do not separate a mother from her child or a father from his child. It's wrong. So that's why with all this divorce and all these custody battles and, well, you take him half the week and I'll take him the other half of the week, I guess it's better than not seeing the child at all, but it's very disruptive and it's not a good thing. And we're almost done. We only have a couple of more points here because they just told me my battery is very, very low. Let's think about Ibrahim. You know when he used to look up at the sky and he would love to look at all the stars and the planets, etc. But then he said he didn't love them when they disappeared. La uhibbu al-afilin. How can I depend on something that disappears? He thought to himself. Well, that's like you can't depend on anything except Allah. Allah's more important to you than oxygen is. Seriously. Without Allah in your life, there's nothing. Also, there's another reference in Quran when he said he didn't like when the planets and what he was looking at, bazira. He was looking up and then the light would disappear. When the I don't know science very much, but the sun and the moon is what reflects the light because the moon gives the light when the other suns and planets are turning around, etc. Well, I had to look up this word because it's nowhere else in the Quran, this bazira. And it said it splits the darkness and light. What's going to happen when there's an eclipse, though? I never could really understand that in reference to the Quran. But in reference, and this is the final point here, Allah never disappears. Allah is always aware, always seeing, hearing, knowing exactly your place, what you did, what you want, your nature, what you need, everything in reference to you. We're in ghafla. You know ghafla? The word ghafla. Write that. That will be our last word because that's a very important word. Ghafla. Ghain, fa, la, lam, termabuta. It says in the Quran, do not be of the ghafilin. Ghafilin are people that are not paying attention. And they don't even know they're not paying attention. They're just, we have an expression. I'm going to say the American expression because it's suitable. They're in la la land. Where did that word come from? La la land. Are they in Allah's land? No. They're in ghafla. La la land. They're nowhere. They're nowhere. They're going nowhere. To be ghafla or ghafil is a terrible thing. So write this word, ghafla. I'll say it again. Gha, fa, la,